Hi everyone, John Phillips here for JPTV with the midweek news roundup for week number 43. So let's get straight on to it in terms of the stories. But before that, I just want to say if you're new round here and you like what I'm doing, please click the subscribe button. Please click also the notification bell. You can either click it on the video or wait till the end of the video where there's going to be a bell that's going to be coming up around about here for you to click on at the end of the video. Please also follow the account on Facebook and Twitter. The links will be on the description below. So let's get straight onto it with the first story. The firefighter who led the initial response to the Grenfell Fire did not consider evacuating the tower, even as residents came out coughing and sooty, a public inquiry has heard. Watch manager Michael Dowden said his mind was on the crews inside the burning building and he was consumed with what was actually happening externally. By the time he had called out 15 fire engines, he said he felt helpless. A deputy assistant commander would usually oversee a fire of that scale. Giving evidence for a third day, Mr. Dowden, who appeared under considerable strain, said, and I quote, "I've never operated at that level before. I was making decisions to the best of my ability with all good intentions to try to successfully resolve the incident." Now, as far as I'm concerned, I'm sure this guy did everything he's possible. It doesn't seem to me that he was at fault at anything whatsoever, but everything bad is done with good intentions. For example, the guy that invented the nuclear bomb, who was able to discover splitting the atom, he had good intentions with that technology to be as a fuel source for energy, not for war. But as everything turns out, you start off doing something good, it ends up going catastrophically against the plan and therefore against what you were originally trying to do. Now, I do feel sorry for these guys because, yeah, I agree 100% that he was helpless in trying to coordinate everything, because it's bloody difficult. Think about it. They've got, was it 600 families to try and make sure everyone's okay on a literal raging inferno. I feel sorry for the guy. I really, really do. But as I say, he's been held accountable for his actions, and he's come out. He's clearly unhappy with the situation and clearly angry with himself. So I can't say much more on that. As you will remember from the previous video, I talked about Dr. Barton, who was the doctor at Gosport War Memorial Hospital that was in charge of the wing that caused almost 600 people to die due to medication problems. The family have come out with a statement which was read by her husband Tim Barton outside their Gosport home. Jane would like to thank her family, friends, colleagues, former patients and the many others for their continued support and loyalty through this protracted inquiry. She has always maintained she was a hard-working, dedicated doctor doing the best for her patients in a very inadequately resourced part of the health service. We ask that our privacy is respected at this difficult time, and she will be making no further comments. Now, the relatives of those that had passed on in relation to the inadequacies of the medication that was offered during that period of time described the statement as worthless and a waste of time. Now, I completely 100% get their point of view on this. It is basically her covering herself. It should not be deemed as anything else other than that. There's been no apology within the statement in any shape or form, so it doesn't show any sign of remorse from her whatsoever. I really sympathise with the family. As I said in previous videos, we as a family have had issues with the NHS over the various course of the last 10 to 15 years. And as a result, I sympathise with the relatives 100%. The reason why I'm bringing this up again is I'm in full support of the family in relation to this travesty, for lack of a better way of putting it. But yes, it's covering her ass. There's absolutely no proof that she was sorry for what happened. She just basically is blaming the NHS. As you remember from previous videos, I talked about taxes coming in for those of a certain demographic that will help for pay for elderly care. Now, unfortunately, this story has come up again, and MPs are now jumping on the bandwagon, as they always do. A new tax for the over 40s in England should be introduced to help pay for elderly care for all, members of Parliament have said. Retired people should also be made to pay it if they have lucrative pensions or investments. Two influential House of Commons committees have also weighed in with that statement. The contribution, dubbed a social care premium by MPs, could then be used to ensure everyone who needs support in their old age gets it. It comes as ministers are considering how to reform social care. Currently, only the poorest get help towards the cost of care, whether it is provided in people's homes or in a care home. Other people have to pay for them themselves, with 1 in 10 facing lifetime costs of more than £100,000. Now, I'm sorry, I understand that there's not a lot of money going around at the moment when it comes to the NHS and private health care and all that sort of thing, as I say, I've discussed on previous videos. This, however, as I say, is ridiculous because it's going to be more tax. It's not going to go anywhere. We all know this tax is going absolutely nowhere. And it really, really worries me because of this. It's all well and good saying it's going to go towards it, but when you and I need it, when we get into our 40s, and then we start paying this tax, and then in a few years, well, in about 10, 15, 20 years time, when we actually start getting into the age where we're going to need to have lifetime care, where's the money going to be? I'll be very, very surprised if this actually works. Very, very surprised if this works. Because at the end of the day, we know exactly what happens with taxes. It goes to the wrong places, and all of a sudden, money needs to be found from somewhere. We've seen it time and time again. The army has been called in to help battle a huge Moorland fire, which has been raging for the last 3 days. The blaze covers 3.7 miles, 6 kilometres for those of you who are of European descent, of moorland above Stalley Bridge and prompted firefighters to evacuate about 50 homes. Greater Manchester Fire and Rescue Service confirmed it had asked for military assistance. No surprises there, it sounds like it's a really, really bad case. One resident described seeing an ash falling like rain, and another said it looked like the apocalypse. There's always someone that's going to over-exaggerate. As bad as it is, there's always somebody who's going to exaggerate. Greater Manchester's Assistant Chief Fire Officer Dave Keelan said a request had gone into the military. That's for help to move high-volume pumps and to transport personnel to remote locations, he said. Pressed on the arrangements, he said the military was likely to use Chinook helicopters to move to water pumps. Water firm United Utilities has also provided a helicopter to drop water onto hard-to-access areas of the fire. Mr. Keelan said 100 firefighters from Greater Manchester were tackling 7 ongoing blazes on the Moorland with support from Cheshire and Derbyshire. A Ministry of Defence spokeswoman confirmed the fire service had approached them as a priority and that the Ministry of Defence was looking into what might be done. Now, I sympathise for you guys. I really, really do. Anybody that's watching this in Manchester and has been in the local areas of Derbyshire and Cheshire that have been affected by this fire, my heart goes out to you. It really does. I know I've just touched the microphone there. Big whoop, unfortunately. But in the grander scheme of things, this is more important. You know, because at the end of the day, this is your livelihoods at fault, at risk here, sorry. And, you know, I sympathise, I really, really do. You have my sympathies on this. I really hope that there's no fatalities out of this fire. I haven't seen anything come out as yet, but that I'm sure something will come out at some point. But I'm sure that I'm really hopeful, and I'm sure that the military will sort everybody out as quickly as possible and as conveniently as possible in the short space of time. And I hope everybody is okay and is back to their normal routine once everything subsides. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of house insurance claims going out. People are going to be out of work, but I sympathise, and I say I really, really hope you get some form of normality back as soon as possible. A new story has come out today about metal dental fillings that leak mercury if they are exposed to a new powerful type of medical scan scientists have recently found. They studied the effect of ultra-high strength MRI, the latest in scanning technology being introduced to several research hospitals in the UK. The study in the journal Radiology shows 20 minutes of exposure is enough to release the toxin from extracted teeth filled with silver amalgam. Yeah. The team say more studies are needed to tell what real-life risk it might pose. These cutting-edge scans are not yet widely used, but are helpful with medical research. Although medical fillings are now being superseded by white ceramic composite fillings, they are still the most common type offered by the NHS dentists. The British Dental Association says dental amalgam is safe. It's been in use and extensively studied for 150 years as a restorative material. Its safety and durability are well established, and it remains the most appropriate material for the range of clinical situations. Now, most of you that are watching this will have fillings, either metal, enamel, silver, gold. It's more really for caps, but you know what I'm saying. And as I say, it's a worry that we will potentially go into MRI scans and have basically mercury leaking into our bodies, albeit very, very slowly. Now, I'm not saying this is going to be for everyone that's going to have this. I can't see it, because, as I say, the article itself says that it's only under very rare circumstances this has been found to have happened, because there's only very, very rare occasions that the MRI scan is being used. But there is going to come a point in the future, at some point, where all of us will be under this treatment, and just so guys and girls and everybody in between watching this, just be careful. And if you have any concerns, go and talk to your dentist. I'm certainly going to talk to a dentist about this as well. So as I say, it's worth knowing. And last and by no means least, as you know, I tried to keep the last story of the roundup to be funny, or at least good and entertaining, and this one is a doozy here. It's not funny or entertaining, but it's a good story. A heterosexual couple have won their legal bid for the right to have a civil partnership instead of a marriage. The Supreme Court unanimously ruled in favour of Rebecca Steinfeld, 37, almost said Seinfeld then, and Charles Keedon, 41, from London. The court said that the Civil Partnership Act of 2004, which only applies to same-sex marriages, is incompatible with the European Convention on Human Rights. The one time this has actually come in handy for actual use. Ms. Steinfeld said that she hoped the government will do the right thing and extends civil partnerships for all. We are feeling elated, she said. But at the same time, we are feeling frustrated that the government has wasted taxpayers' money in fighting what the judges have called a blatant inequality. In a civil partnership, a couple is entitled to the same legal treatment in terms of inheritance, tax, pensions, and next of kin arrangements as marriage. The couple, who have 2 children, said the legacy of marriage, which treated women as property for centuries, was not an option for them. They said, "We want to raise our children as equal partners and feel that a civil partnership, a modern symmetrical institution, sets the best example for them." And I 100% agree. Now, when you're in a relationship where both parties are not willing and don't see the point of marriage, I've talked about religion and my view on all religions before, and I'm not going to go into that again. But as I say, if you've got 2 partners, me and my ex were like that. Both of us didn't feel the idea for marriage. One of the reasons why she's my ex. But at the end of the day, the world is moving on. Excuse me. The world is moving on here, and this is the whole point. The law has to update itself when things happen, because it's right. They're right. That it's complete discrimination. That just because people of the same gender can have civil partnership instead of getting married, why can't the rest of us have that? That's discrimination. No matter which way you look at it, it's discriminatory, right? And I'm glad that this happens. Now, this doesn't, regardless of what the Evening Standard said earlier today when this story broke, this doesn't mean that we're all entitled to it. Far from it. We will at some point when the government gets their arse in gear and sorts this out. But as it stands at the moment, it's one ruling that will start the landslide to get the government to sort themselves out. So anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching. As I said at the beginning of the video, if you like what I'm doing, by all means, please click the subscribe button, which should be around about here about now. Follow the account on Twitter and Facebook. The links will be in the description below. There is an Instagram account, but I hardly ever use it. I don't see the point. If you want to follow me on Instagram, by all means go for it. It's down the link below as well. Last thing I want to talk about just before I wrap this up, obviously, as usual, I want your comments and I want you to like the video if you enjoyed it and you think I deserve it, and please share this video as well. But the last thing I want to say, which is great news today, is that for every football supporter out there who's patriotic and loves England, Germany are on the way home. They got beaten, well, not beaten, but they practically were beaten 0-0 by Korea. It was so funny, absolutely hysterical. 2-0. That's ridiculous. You know, it's just Anyway, I'm gone, guys. Thank you very much for watching. As I say, please share the video, and I'll see you again at the weekend. Take care.